Elephant Man Podcast Network, grown man conversation dealing with elephants in the room. It's your man DB. Like, subscribe, share, hit the notification bell so you can know when new material is coming out. What's going on, family? Blessings to you all. Also, if you haven't checked out, is that in the Word game show? Very, very fun. We had a fun time. Ended up being 2 hours. We didn't know it was going to be that long. It's kind of bootleg, but then a lot of people, they said it was they had a good time. So yeah. So we just got different phrases and different things going on. Make sure you check that out. Also, Berean Council, JT the Preacher Thomas, check that out on the Shabbat. We're gonna have the Shabbat build. And on Sunday, Mr. Blacktastic, Yesiah West, my brother. So we're gonna have a good time in that. But anyway, I've seen an interesting video. Shout out to VOX. You can subscribe to them. They're pretty good. They got a video giving some even more detail on the whole Fred Hampton murder. If you guys don't know, he's the head of the Black Panther Party. Young man, 19 years old, 20 years old, head of the Black Panther Party, Chicago, Illinois. And there was some reasons why they killed him. And if you ever seen that one movie, came out on HBO Max, Judas and the Black Messiah, go check it out. HBO Max came out February 12th of this year. And if you haven't seen that movie, go check it out. If you haven't, or if you have, go check it out again. And with the information I'm about to provide right now. So without further ado, I'm going to share these two little information video about why they killed him. Now, I can let you know there's some cursing in this video ahead of time, and then it's a commercial with, Santa Claus commercial or something in there. But other than that, check this out, all right? Turn it up. And mute my mic. Hopefully they don't get the echo thing going on because that's been a real pain.
December 4th, 1969. Akua Njeri was 19 years old and sleeping next to her fiance, the Illinois Black Panther Party chairman, Fred Hampton.
The next thing I remember was someone in our room shaking Chairman Fred. Chairman, wake up. Plaster was flying off the wall. You could smell the cordite from the gunshot. If you've ever been under gunfire, 5 minutes is 5 hours. To you, it seems like forever. The shooting started back again. Then another voice unfamiliar to me said, "He's good and dead now." I knew they were talking about Chairman Fred.
Fred Hampton was murdered by his government. But before that, he was a leader in a movement practicing a new kind of activism. A movement targeted because of its power to unite people.
Introducing Venture X. Earn 10x miles on hotels and 5x miles on flights booked through Capital One Travel, plus receive access to over 1,300 airport lounges. Venture X, what's in your wallet?
Marking 1964 as a historic year in race relations, on July 2nd, President
These disparities and an increase in brutal police violence led to uprisings across the country. Many young Black activists grew frustrated that the changes they'd hoped for hadn't come.
It's just the opposite of being a white man. That's about the best I can abbreviate that for you.
after the police killing of an unarmed black teen in San Francisco. Two activists in Oakland, California, Bobby Seale and Huey P. Newton, founded what was initially called the Black Panther Party for Self-Defense. Newton had studied law and knew it was legal to carry arms in California as long as they were not concealed. The Panthers began to patrol their communities. As the movement grew, several highly publicized confrontations with police would bring about mainstream awareness of the Black Panther Party. The allegations in these confrontations were serious, but the public accounts of them were typically one-sided and shaped largely by police. Media coverage depicted party members as a caricature of Black militancy.
The Black Panther Party was portrayed as a marauding gang. They say their goal was to kill all the white people.
In reality, the Panthers did call for radical change.
What they were hoping for was a revolution to overthrow the capitalist enterprise.
But what they called revolution might not actually sound so radical today.
Focused on socialism as a way of solving economic needs. They looked to places like Canada, which always had a democratic political system, but the economic system has always been socialism. So they want a democratic socialist country here in the United States, which they saw as a more equitable, more humane system.
They released a 10-point plan for broad social reform that called for an end to police brutality and for Black employment, housing, education, and freedom from prison and jails. Chapters began forming across the country. They started to implement social programs, which they called survival programs.
The Panthers would say, put that theory into practice. If you really want to change minds, if you really want to meet the people where they are, you have to give them the services which they need.
The programs included food and clothing drives, free health clinics, and sickle cell disease testing, and were funded largely by volunteers and donations from businesses. One of their biggest programs was a free breakfast for children initiative.
Here we are living in 1966, 67, is the most wealthy nation in the world. And kids were going to school hungry, especially in African-American communities. So one of the first community service programs were free breakfast for school children.
And all the children had to do was come.
It was during this time that Akua and Jerry, then known as Deborah Johnson, met Fred Hampton.
I was a student at Rice City College, and Chairman Fred had come up to the school to speak. And he said, in the breakfast program, we feeding over 3,000 children a week. We're serious about making power to the people of reality. We're not just sitting up here jaw jabbing and talking shit, We about work. And I said, damn, he's serious about this business.
Fred Hampton grew up in Maywood, Illinois, just west of downtown Chicago. He became president of his local NAACP Youth Council in 1967, at 19 years old. Shortly after, he was recruited by a founder of the Illinois chapter of the Black Panther Party.
That you can jail a revolutionary, but you can't jail a revolution. Right.
Because of his charismatic skills, he quickly rise to the top of the crop.
Here he is at age 21, building and leading the Illinois chapter Black Panther Party.
Soon after they met, and Jerry and Hampton became a couple.
Anybody that has met him or heard him speak, they say he wasn't bullshit. He was for real.
You got to understand, the people have to pay the price for peace. If you dare to struggle, you dare to win. If you dare not to struggle, then goddamn it, you don't deserve to win. Let me say peace to you if you're willing to fight for it.
Chicago in particular was a place where the party's ideals especially resonated. It was then the second largest American city, and due to decades of discriminatory policies, also one of the most segregated. Chicago's mayor at the time, Richard J. Daley, opposed neighborhood integration. And in the 1950s, the city had begun to redevelop certain neighborhoods, pushing low-income residents out and into densely packed, high-rise public housing in already overcrowded neighborhoods. Black people were pushed primarily to the south and west side of Chicago. A large Puerto Rican population was here in Lincoln Park, and poor white people were concentrated here in Uptown. These groups all faced similar problems.
They all had dilapidated schools. They all had dilapidated homes. They were all being drafted into Vietnam. Very few of those communities had health care.
In 1969, Hampton led the Panthers towards an unexpected alliance, a coalition of activists working across racial lines against a corrupt city government that threatened their communities.
We're going to fight racism, not racism, but we're going to fight with solidarity.
What they had in common was their poverty. So they was building a revolution based on class solidarity that transcends race, that they all had the same hell to pay.
Hampton named the group the Rainbow Coalition. It included the Black Panthers, a Puerto Rican group called the Young Lords, and a group called the Young Patriots, made up of largely poor white migrants from Appalachia who had moved to Chicago seeking economic opportunity.
We don't hate the motherfucker white people, we hate the oppressor, whether he be white, black, brown, or yellow. So we got to know that.
I don't mean sing Kumbaya and make a quilt. I'm talking about bringing them together on common things they could unite on. Not everything, but who could say that children do not deserve to have a healthy meal?
We work with anybody and form coalition with anybody that has revolution on their mind. We're not a racist organization because we understand that racism is an excuse used for capitalism.
Hampton and other Panthers helped the Young Lords and Young Patriots launch their own social programs. They organized protests together. And it was working. Members were traveling across the country to organize Rainbow Coalition chapters.
Particularly where Black Panther chapters were, but also in these rural white communities as well, to bring the revolution to bear. This blows people's minds. These people are not supposed to get along, but here they are operating as brothers of the struggle, as revolutionaries against the capitalist structure. And that was the threat to the state at the local level, but also at the national level.
In 1968, the FBI had sent around this internal memo. It outlined goals to prevent the coalition of militant Black nationalist groups and prevent the rise of a messiah who could unify and electrify the militant Black nationalist movement. It wasn't written about Hampton specifically, but by 1969,
Chairman Fred Hampton was the one that fit the bill.
The revolution was in the air. And the ways in which the Panther was able to transcend those racial lines, especially the charismatic leadership of one like Fred Hampton, they saw him as a greater threat even than Martin Luther King or Malcolm X ever was.
In one FBI memo about the Black Panthers' breakfast program, they claimed their real purpose was to poison minds with anti-white propaganda and indoctrinate youngsters in hate and violence.
The FBI, under the leadership of J. Edgar Hoover, had deemed the Black Panther Party as the number one threat to the internal security of this country.
The FBI operated a counterintelligence program called COINTELPRO. It was a program that targeted dissident political groups in the U.S. Their methods typically went outside the law.
They were using tactics such as assassination, discrediting, false narratives. They were falsely putting people in prison and exile, which were all illegal.
Several Black Panthers were killed or imprisoned, including the party co-founders. In Chicago, the party was also targeted by Mayor Daley and the Chicago police.
Our office was burned down at least 3 times. People would disappear. You never see their bodies again.
Before you go to bed tonight, say I am a revolutionary. Make that the last word. In case you don't wake up, then somebody might believe it and you might end up in what they call a revolutionary happy hunting ground.
Hampton, a rising star at just 21 years old, knew he was a target too. He'd been arrested in 1968 for allegedly robbing an ice cream truck and handing out $71 of ice cream. In 1969, he was sentenced to 2 to 5 years in prison. He appealed and was released on bond, but lost the appeal. He'd have to return to prison by December 6th.
Stream all your favorite shows on the all-new Hisense S-Class TV.
Told you it was a commercial in there. Sorry, guys.
And more watching on your new favorite TV. Available now, only at Walmart.
On December 4th, around 4 a.m., 14 Chicago police officers arrived outside Hampton's apartment on Chicago's west side. Inside, Hampton and Jerry and 7 other Panthers were asleep.
I was very pregnant, and the first thing I remember was Chairman Fred had fell asleep while talking on the phone. The next thing I remember was someone in our room
started shaking the chairman.
Chairman, wake up, the pigs are vamping. And I'm seeing Chairman Fred look up, and then he laid his head back down real slow.
Officers kicked open the door and shot Mark Clark, a visitor and Jerry was forced into the kitchen when she heard another voice.
Someone said he's barely alive.
He'll barely make it. I assume they talked about Chairman Fred. Pig said he's good and dead now.
As they took me out and jammed a revolver to my stomach as I was handcuffed behind my back. I didn't look towards our bedroom because I didn't know what I would see or how I would respond.
The police fired nearly 100 shots. Fred Hampton and Mark Clark were dead. The 7 surviving Panthers were arrested, and police smiled as they removed Hampton's body from the scene. The Chicago police and the state's attorney's office quickly shaped the narrative to call it a gunfight, a battle, and a shootout.
Officers involved in the raid testified that they were fired on from 4 different rooms in the apartment by shotgun.
And before I could get past the threshold, there were 3 shots fired from the rear bedroom.
They played back a story that you could not even fathom. They gave a fictional account of what happened. Again, vilifying the Black Panther Party.
I mean, they were firing at police.
Yes, sir. We saw the shots coming out of the 2 bedrooms.
This attack by the Black Panthers on the police clearly demonstrates the true character of the Black Panther Party.
But experts and lawyers hired by the Panthers, along with other journalists, inspected the crime scene. The Panthers even opened the apartment so that anyone could examine it. And a drastically different picture emerged. It was clear that the police had fired unprovoked. Of the nearly 100 shots fired, only one possible shot could have come from a Panther's gun, likely from Mark Clark at the front door. The bullet holes that the police said came from Black Panthers were nail heads. Later, it also emerged that the FBI had assisted Chicago police with the raid. The FBI had an informant within the Black Panther Party named William O'Neill, who had become chief of security and Hampton's bodyguard. O'Neill had provided the FBI with a hand-drawn floor plan of the apartment, which the FBI then gave to Chicago police. And evidence strongly suggests that before the raid, O'Neill had drugged Hampton. In the years after Hampton's assassination, the police and the FBI continued to imprison dozens of party members across the country. The official Black Panther Party would continue to exist until 1982, but membership decreased dramatically, and it would never be the same.
And I hope that each one of you will be able to die in the international proletarian revolutionary struggle, or even be able to live in it. And I think that struggle is going to come. Why don't you live for the people? Why don't you struggle for the people? Why don't you die for the people?
Fred Hampton wanted revolution. Those in power wanted to destroy him and what he stood for. But they weren't totally successful.
Chairman Fred lives. You know what I'm saying? Through the military assault, through the destruction of the party as an organization itself, you know, by the state, the legacy of the party is still here.
Today, the work of Fred Hampton is alive through some of the same programs that marked him as a threat.
Many of the programs that the Panthers created are now staples of our society. We didn't have free breakfast in schools prior to the Black Panther Party's free breakfast program. Those free clinics, almost every major college campus got a free legal aid clinic. The ways in which sickle cell testing is now respected as a disease by the CDC and others. None of that stuff existed before the party. I think that's revolutionary.
The history of the Black Panther Party is going toe-to-toe with this government will never die. Never die.
Mike. Wow. Wow. That's to I see it. It's a amazing story. Yeah. A lot of that. So they were saying the COINTELPRO is doing a lot of illegal things, man. You know, when you write the laws and create the laws, you can bend them, you can amend them, you can do anything you want to them, but then hold everybody else accountable to the laws. But they was doing discrediting and misinformation, disinformation, up to assassination in this COINTELPRO program, and this is very crazy. Also, that's very interesting is once they started feeding the youth, they got the unity. That's one thing that J. Edgar Hoover said. The one thing I fear most is Negro unity, and they started feeding them. So they said, they're gonna get together and poison their minds. But they say poison their minds with anti-right propaganda. But I think what was going on was it was bringing a sense of autonomy and a sense of pride, and it's kind of funny. On one hand, I say, your community is a bunch of welfare recipients looking for handouts, but then when people come together and say, you know what, we are going to roll our sleeves up and take care of the issues in our community and try to be more autonomous, then it's a problem, it's a threat. They wanted to have you at an infantile state, work depending upon a party, whether it's Democrat or Republican. African American is a predominantly Democrat party, but they want us to depend upon the government for aid and assistance and this, that, and the other, because long as you'll be in a crippled state as long as you always looking for the government to take care of you, instead of showing autonomy and showing unity and coming together with the resources. And that was one thing I was kind of tripping off too. They started handing out all of this stimulus money. So much could have been done, not just land, but a lot of different things could have came together and purchased a lot of good things. But we end up, running, getting Jordans and TVs from Walmart. And again, that's that separation. You know what I mean? That American dream, my piece of the pie. And we could have got a lot more done if we'd have put our resources together. But that's neither here nor there. So I think that's very interesting. Social programs, health clinics, food and clothes drive, breakfast program. Even in the summertime, they used to have those lunch programs at noon. The WIC is based off of this women and infant and children program, right? So the different clinics, like they said, at different universities, is based off of what the Panthers did. So I think that's very interesting. So I want to talk about Brother William O'Neal, and then we're gonna show his video. I'm just gonna pull this video up real quick. And then hold on. Not right now. But Brother William O'Neal was an infiltrator. He came in. That's what the whole movie Judas and the Black Messiah, again, it came out earlier this year. Go check it out if you haven't seen it. Or go re-see it. It's good. Got this brother right here, William O'Neal. Okay, this is a younger picture of him right here. And what it said was he ended up committing suicide. My man ended up committing suicide once he seen the damage done. He actually got a chance to walk through the apartment, see the bloody mattress, see the gunshots shot in the wall of the apartment, and he was tripping. But I'm gonna read a little bit about him. William O'Neal was an African American FBI informant in Chicago, Illinois, where he infiltrated the local Black Panther Party. He is known for playing the role in the 1969 assassination by police of Fred Hampton, head of the Illinois Black Panther Party. After his role was revealed in 1973, see, they kept it quiet to 1973. This happened in 69. O'Neill was relocated to California under the Federal Witness Protection Program and was given a new identity. In 1984, he secretly returned to Chicago. He was interviewed in 1989 about his role for the second part of the documentary series Eyes on the Prize. I'm about to show that little video real quick. And with this episode broadcast in February 19th, 1990, he died on January the 15th, 1990. Ruled out suicide. They said he suicide by running on the freeway, running into freeway traffic. So that's pretty jacked up, man. It's pretty sad that brother committed suicide, man. But let's hear from him, from his words, from his words from straight from his mouth, what he was talking about. And I think this video started roaming twice when it got to an interesting part. Let me know that if I froze or anything like that. But check this out. Let's check him out real quick.
By any means necessary.
At this point, I question the whole purpose of the Black Panther Party. In my thinking, they were necessary. It was a shock treatment for white America to see black men running around with guns, just like black men had saw white men running around with guns. Yeah, that was a shock treatment. It was good in that extent, but it got a lot of black people hurt. My recruitment by the FBI was very efficient, very simple, really. I'd stolen a car and went joyriding over the state limit, and they had a potential case against me, and I was looking for an opportunity to work it off. And a couple of months later, that opportunity came when FBI agent Roy Mitchell asked me to go down to the local office of the Black Panther Party and try to gain membership. We tried to develop negative information to discredit him, just like we did everybody else. We, meaning the FBI, I tried to come up with signs of him doing drugs or something, and never could. He was clean. He was dedicated. I've had private conversations with him. We got along pretty well.
2 weeks later, a gun battle on Chicago's South Side further escalated tensions. A former Panther and 2 policemen were killed. The deaths provoked a response from informant William O'Neill's FBI contact.
Mitchell became more specific during that time. He wanted to know the locations of weapons caches. He wanted to know if we had explosives. He needed to know who was staying at what locations, who spent the night where. His information didn't change so much as he requested more detail. And I knew why. The shootout on the South Side had pretty much laid the foundation within the party, within the Black Panthers. We knew that the police would react some type of way.
Expecting police action, the Black Panthers had fortified their office. FBI informant O'Neill was now head of Panther security in Chicago.
And I remember walking out of the office and looking through a little clearing over on the next block, which was right in front of the Monroe Street address, and seeing a lot of police cars over there. And at that time, Bobby Rush came to the office. He had just come from over there, or maybe the coroner's office. In any case, we walked back over there, and we both were speechless. We just walked through the house and saw what had taken place and where he died, and it was shocking. And then I just began to realize that the information that I supplied leading up to that moment had facilitated that raid. I knew that indirectly I had contributed, and I felt it, and I felt bad about it. And then I got mad. You know, I had, and then I had to conceal those feelings, which made it worse. I couldn't say anything. I just had to continue to play the role.
FBI headquarters authorized payment of a $300 bonus to informant William O'Neill for, quote, uniquely valuable services which he rendered over the past several months, unquote.
Sorry, I was muted. All right, so he got $300 bonus for giving that information. I don't know what $300 equivalent is back in the 60s, 69, as opposed to today. It might have been, I don't know, maybe a stack, maybe 1,000. I don't know. I'll look that up. What's the equivalent to $300 back in 1969? Nevertheless, it ain't six figures. It ain't a meal ticket. You know what I mean? And to have a map, to draw out a map of the headquarters and get it to the police, and you know, to be really, really entrusted. It was truly a Judas move, because to be trusted, to be like, you're gonna be head of security, like you all the way trusted to be up there. You know what I mean? Even Judas, he was entrusted with the money bag. You know what I mean? But Yahusha treated everybody the same. That's why when they had the Last Supper, well, really the Passover supper. He was like, one of y'all gonna betray me, and everybody was looking. They didn't know what we know for a fact is Judas. They probably thought he was the last person, because they thought that Messiah trusted him more because he was in charge of the money bag. But that's kind of crazy, man. That's a sad thing, you know. So brother, you know, end up committing suicide. You know, couldn't deal with it. You know what I mean? Had to relocate and but one thing they said, I was pretty tripped out. You know, you look at they're carrying his body out. These guys looking happy and relieved. You know what I mean? And a lot of times these groups wouldn't have to form if it wasn't the intimidation, manipulation, and the bullying, and of that's going on in this country. Basically before slavery, but even after slavery. Like I say, after 1865, hit the ground running, bam, got black codes, you got KKK members, you got all kind of just scare tactics and stuff like that. And so to be a law-abiding citizen, per se, to make the law and break the law, so it's always try to be in a position of control and never share their autonomy or give autonomy, you know what I mean, to a group, or don't unify. They want you at each other's necks, and this drill music and murder music and disrespecting our women and children. And as long as y'all at odds with each other, then we ain't got to worry about you rising up or coming together. And it's not even about rising up. If you think about our nature and stuff, we don't be trying to rise up. One, we outnumbered, but two, that ain't even been our MO. But you might have pockets of people that's upset, but for the most part, the people of the Most High be chill, be laid back. This one, they like, okay, what do you want? Y'all doing all this marching? They said, we just want equal rights. And it's like, okay, that's nothing. We can, and so they just repackage it. And I don't know why people say, well, it's gone because it's 2021. It's not gone, because some of the things will be broken off of it. Yeah, Oprah is a billionaire, Dr. Dre is a billionaire, and Jordan is a billion. We think because of a few people that they, let makes millions of dollars. We got all these actors and actresses and musicians making all this money, but they got to be mums the word about their conviction, or you're gonna get treated like a Kaepernick. You're gonna get treated like Muhammad Ali. When he first came out, and he was like, man, I don't like the way my people are getting treated. He was very rich, influential, and had a platform. So they're like, hey man, tone that down. It's like, no, I ain't toning nothing down. Then it was like, okay, well, you got to go get drafted and go fight overseas. It's like, out of all these people, this dude making you money, but you're trying to make an example out of him by making him go into the draft. And then he called him, unpatriotic in the draft, dodger, and all this good stuff, man. So yeah, man, I didn't say that to open up a scab or relive a wound. I mean, yeah. But I just put that on there because I thought it was very interesting when I seen that video. I said, oh, I think that'll be an interesting video. Vox always do good work, and they, dot every I and cross every T. So yeah, man, just let me know what you think about the video. Elephant Man Podcast Network, Grown Man Conversation dealing with elephants in the room. Subscribe, like, share. All right? You ain't subscribed yet? I don't know why. Right? And also connect with us on all platforms. Elephant Man _ podcast on IG. And then / Elephant Man Podcast on Facebook. I use Twitter sometime. But I definitely Facebook, YouTube, and IG. All right. Blessings to you all and shalom.
Perfect.